Well, not Joe, but yeah, you.
Yeah, Glo. The idea of them inviting you there in particular, did they talk to you about what they wanted politically? Did they want your endorsement? Did they want you to help people get out the vote?
Hey, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden. But, I'm not going to, what I'm saying, talk politics, but I love the president. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody. And at the end of the day got to end.
I want to let you know this is my second time recording this video because the first time I think I kept it something like 800,000 because it was way, 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 way too real. Way too real. So we're going to reel it back to 500. We're going to reel it back to 500,000. So black people tap in. We about to have a conversation. So when I first seen this, I went through 3 phases of thought. The first was, this is hilarious. The second was, damn, this set us back so many years. The third was the realization that this was a good thing. And I'm going to tell you why it's a good thing. Just keeping it all the way real, keeping it 500,000. What she did was make herself apolitical. She stayed neutral. She didn't pick a side. She didn't choose to endorse a candidate that she knows nothing about. She didn't choose to do that. That's what happened. This is the other thing that happened. When it comes to these black figures, politicians in black platforms like the Breakfast Club and stuff like that, politicians try to use them as pawns to pander to the blacks for the black vote. This is facts. Now, when I say that, and what they were trying to do was use her or turn her into a political puppet for the Democrats. Now, when you look at Cardi B was a puppet. And I know you would love to think the Cardi knows what's going on and stuff like that, but I'm not going to drag it like I did the last time I made this video. I'm going to just give it to you straight. First thing, we got to look at the list of things that we know Cardi for. The primary thing that we know her for is rapping. Now, we're going to go to all the secondary and third and all that stuff. We're going to do that now. So rapping, we know her as a rapper. We also know her for dating one of the Migos or marrying one of the Migos. We also know her for stripping for a long time. We also know her for being an IG comedian. We also know her for drugging men and trying to rob them or actually robbing them and then justifying it later in her career. That's what we know her for. So you could probably throw some other things in there, but those are the main things that we know her for. How could I forget that big, voluptuous BBL fix a flat injection butt? How could I forget that? Oh, also, how could I forget for being racist? So those are the things that we know Cardi B for. What do we not know Cardi B for? Politics. What do we know? What do we not know her for? Doing anything political as far as not even doing anything philanthropic, not even being a staple in her own community as far as politics is concerned. There are moments and very few, where she has actually talked politics on her platforms and stuff like that. But that's not primarily what she does. Now, I say all that to say this. You cannot compare. If we had to weigh each out and we put Cardi the rapper on a scale and Cardi the political commentator on a scale, the scale is going to fall real hard on the rapper side because that holds more weight. And guess what's going to happen to the political side on that scale, that weight scale? It's going to fly into the sky. It's going to go and fall somewhere because it doesn't even measure up to a quarter of what she does rapping. So I'm going to go and be real specific. as far as, her being a puppet. Well, not real specific. I'm going to, bring the point home. Malcolm X, when he was, in the 60s and stuff like that, he mentioned entertainers when it comes to politics being puppets and clowns. When it comes to, white people putting them on the platforms and having them speak about these race issues. And that's what they are. I personally don't want, these rappers who booty shake, who rap about popping pills, who rap about killing people, all that stuff. I really don't value their political opinion, and I don't want them to be looked at as black leaders. Which, me mentioning rappers and me mentioning Malcolm X, that's the issue with the black community right now. We don't have any solid, real, uncompromised black leaders. That's why people place so much value on what a Glorilla has to say about politics. I've seen people, say that they didn't think, when I put this out there, I seen people say they didn't think Cardi was a plant, not a plant, but a pawn or a puppet, and that Glorilla should have an opinion and she should pick a side because she lives in the USA. First thing I'm going to say to her picking a side, she's a citizen. And the thing that white people do, I've seen jokes about this, but it's true. And I think Patrice O'Neal had this joke, or it might be somebody else. When it comes to politics, white people don't like to talk about politics to each other. Matter of fact, it was Chappelle, because they're aware that's a touchy subject. Because amongst white people, they do have more diversity in their political views, as far as being liberal or conservative, as far as their communities. Like in the same neighborhood, you can have a bunch of people who are conservative and, a bunch of people who are liberal at the same time, as far as different people. When it comes to the black community, we have been, conditioned to just vote Democrat all the time and just think that the Democrats are for us all the time, even though, you should see that we don't really get results from politics on a national level. If you look at the guy in question, he went on the Breakfast Club and said, if you vote for us, you ain't black. He really went hard for the black vote. Guess what? Hasn't done anything specific for black people of any significance, but after a few videos go viral of Asian hate crimes, he signs the Asian hate crime bill, even though for the past decade, you've had black people getting clapped by cops and it be, big protests and stuff like that. The most we got is body cams. We didn't get the, stop shooting these niggas act. We didn't get that. But without going too deep on a political end, the average person has no idea about anything political. They don't have any idea, what's going on as far as the voting system. They still think that every vote counts, when in reality it doesn't, because if every vote counted, then the person who opposed Trump in the 2016 election, who had one of the highest popular vote totals of all time, they would have won if every vote counted. If you peep that, 2016, 8 years ago, then you would have began to do the math. But people don't pay attention to these things and then have the nerve to have an opinion. Like Glorilla needs to have an opinion, an uninformed opinion like you. She needs to have an uninformed opinion. Why? Because she has some hit records. She needs to do that. But we're going to scale back real quick. So as far as most people, they don't really know much of anything when it comes to politics. But as far as the black leader portion, a lot of our leaders are compromised. And if they're not compromised, and even then, let me just say it like this, because I don't mean somebody's paying them or they're like, agents or anything, which is possible. What I'm saying is they're in it for the bag. If you look at BLM, $9 million mansion off of our plight, off of our donation money. That's how they living. That's how one of the founders, one of the people, maybe not the founder, but one of the people in charge of BLM is living. Bought a $9 million mansion. That's what's going on. I could really go down a list. Any black leader you could think of currently, they either don't have a big impact, which I think we could say that for all of them, honestly, or they just want some money. That's just what it is. And I get it because we do live in comfy times and the need for that is not as high as it was in the 60s. We were absolutely in a state of emergency in the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, all that stuff. It was crazy back there. But all that being said, we have an issue when it comes to having real solid black leaders. When it comes to the civilians, a lot of people, or the citizens, a lot of people, especially in the black community, they don't have any political knowledge. And it's not even conspiracy theory stuff because this is stuff that is very basic. You can Google it. Everything is there for you. It's not even hidden. They're not hiding the stuff I'm talking about. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, it's like like I'm so serious. It's not conspiracy stuff. Like, if you know what a lobbyist is, that's public knowledge. Everybody knows about that as far as the political world. It's not a secret. That's just what it is. The campaigns got to get paid for it some way. The politicians get their pockets greased. That's just what it is. So people who say stuff like this, they're just not even, they have no awareness of what's going on, like none. But the last thing, just to end this point, and the reason I'm glad she took the stand she did, and people could say it looks embarrassing or whatever, I don't really care. She didn't endorse him, and she didn't make herself a political puppet. And I think people putting such a high importance on what specifically Glorilla thinks. And even outside of her, people like ASAP Rocky, people like Young Thug and Travis Scott, people who I've seen when they were asked about racism and stuff, they've had some of the worst takes I ever seen. Kanye especially, he just loves attention. He's just going to say whatever for attention. People valuing their opinions when it comes to what the black community needs, being black leaders, and also just politically. These are not the most informed individuals. They're entertainers. Let them stay in that box. Don't put the pressure on them to be out here and be political and take a stance and stuff like that. No, what we need is real leaders. That's what we need. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to get that, anytime soon, probably ever. Probably for the rest. Like I said, we live in comfortable times and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But I'm going to just say that, these are not the leaders. Even if we don't have solid leaders, or we have makeshift leaders, or we have compromised leaders, these guys are absolutely unqualified. And I don't even want to say qualified, but it's just these are the worst options out of it. Just because they're famous doesn't mean that they're knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that they're capable. It does, even then, rappers, one of the things that they care about most is money. So I don't think it would be hard to compromise them if it came down to it. So, I'll leave on this note, man. You had somebody like Nick Cannon who tried to take what a lot of black people would consider a righteous stance, and I don't get why they would consider it that, but, it is what it is. He did what he did. He said what he said. I'm not going to get into what it is specifically. You'll know when I say this. Once them guys heard what he said, the people who pay him, they were threatening to take that. I mean, they did take Wildin' Out from him. They was trying to give it to DC Young Fly. America's Got Talent, swoop, take that away. And at the end of the day, your boy had to go on an apology tour, and he figured out you can't be radical when they're paying you. You have to play ball. And guess what? He plays ball now. He plays ball. And I just want to be clear. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. So I'm not gonna put myself in that position to be a leader or nothing like that. I'm just a guy with opinions. That's all I am, dog. I'm not saying I'm gonna lead you to the promised land or nothing, because that's not what it is. I'm just aware, as you should be. So with that, this turned out a lot better than the last version, because I was going, bro. I was really giving it up on a higher level than this. Let me know your thoughts, Amal.